chestnuts roasting on an open fire. It's the best I can do, but Christmas is coming up and here I am. I'm back. It's been a long time. Anne Spencer here and welcome to In Hindsight, dare I say. And I don't know how everyone's been, and not that many people I've been talking to are that ahead with their presents. So hopefully you're much the same. No problems there. No problems there. It all works out in the end anyway, doesn't it? And if you forget something, you say, listen, I'll get you it next week, as long as we're together. Anyway, in this short podcast that I'm doing is just to check in, to say that next week I will be going live. No, not live, but visual. It's really just because of the technical side. And if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times in the last year. But hey, I'm saying it again. So this short one, I want to talk about, well, it's always about our mental health in a way, but in view of Harry, Prince Harry, and his mental health company, I don't know what it's called now, says that everyone should just leave their job. I know that's taken out of context, probably before. You don't want to leave before you have a new one, and I'm sure he would agree with that. But is it necessary to leave your job? Who knows? You might feel the same way in the new one. What I mean is, I suppose if we meet anyone, we're always asking them, or people ask us, oh, what do you do? What do you do for a living? What's your job, And it's part of us. It's part of what we do, whatever you are, in administration, a secretary, even if you're an actor, a plumber, an engineer, a lawyer, whatever it is. And I guess we are actually saying, I am an engineer, I am a plumber. And obviously we're a lot more than that. But in a sense, we start to define ourselves by our job, which is why possibly our self-esteem isn't much when somebody asks us and we're like, well, I don't want to say, but I'm not working at the moment. So in other words, we are thinking to ourselves, well, we have nothing to give because we don't have anything to talk about. And to a degree, that's true, isn't it? After all, we can start off talking about various things that happened at our work, because it's not just the job, it's the people you meet. But without moving away from the subject, whatever career or profession that we choose to do, it is where all our energy will go, isn't it? A vast amount of our energy will go. We invest in what we do. So we put our energy into that, because that's the concept of our career. That's where we're earning our money, and that's what we do. So when you choose whatever profession that is, as I say, in the end, it's how we see and define the world, isn't it? And there's no harm in that. But it could close us off to many other things that we are, potentially, or that we are, in fact. Without sounding too deep, but, I'm getting enthusiastic. It is the whole sort of, I guess what I'm trying to say is we are more than what we do. In other words, when we're considering our self-worth, when we're in a job and we don't like it and we feel it's dead end, obviously there's obvious conclusions that we could move on, and depending on your age as well. But if you define yourself by your job, then if you were to lose that job or do something wrong, then you're possibly overweighting yourself with who you are. Because if the job goes wrong, if you define yourself by the job, then you'll feel wrong. And that's just not the case. There's multiple things that we all have to do as a human being to cope with various things. And to do that and still keep as much sanity and a smile on your face, I would say, is a reasonable thing to do. Is a reasonably hard thing to do. And if you're managing it, you're amazing, bottom line. So you're not your job or your profession. That's very important to know, It really is. But wanting to leave a job because it's making you unhappy has to be seriously considered. Because, we talk about self-worth, and our feelings are nothing to do with what your outside world is doing or is. Well, feeling, obviously, you'll be affected emotionally and various other ways when certain situations arise in your outside world, and that would include people, which is relevant to a job as well. But your self-worth can be sustained throughout all of that, no matter what you do. And when you have that, everything becomes a lot lighter, a lot easier. And even to make a decision if it is to leave or if it is to stay, you rely, you know you'll make the right decision because you feel that way. That's important to know. That is so important to know and to keep it going. It'll be evident as you move forward with that particular attitude towards things in your life. We can't just be, well, I don't want to be naive in saying everything's so easy to do. I mean, it's a job that we have to do in our world, in our life, the life that we are given. Oh, sounds so profound. But there are some people, lest we forget, and we can, sometimes it's a good idea to do that, but there are some people who will help bring out your self-worth. And there's other people that probably be quite happy for you to be codependent on them as well. I mean, you want someone, as I've said before, to fan your flames. There's no doubt about that. But if you don't have that self-worth or that ability to make decisions for yourself because you know you are worthy of being able to do that, then someone else will do it for you. Someone else will take great tidings, excuse the pun, for Christmas, in being able to control their world, your world, and perhaps your future. So that's the things that start to worry you, and that's why we get the fear and allow our job to suddenly turn round and attack us like some animal. No, you got to stop it. If you're feeling that, you got to stop it. And trust me. I always said I don't like when people say, trust me. But, but believe me when I say, same thing really. I have experienced it, and I know it works. I know being able to control your thoughts makes a difference. Yeah, and I know, in the words of someone, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. Sorry, but it isn't. I know it could become all too much to think about, actually, to be honest, if you really focus, but simply just don't think about it. Don't think about it. But values and attitudes that we do have are pretty much instilled from a long time, so it does take time. And that all reflects in your job as well, and the way in which you see the job. I keep harping on to the job, but it's only because I started off with that, didn't I? But it's transforming that sort of lifestyle that we have at the moment. You know, you're on a mission. We are on a mission. I'm on a mission. I have been on a mission for quite some time now. And it's probably taken about 5 years from 10 years ago when it started, the first 5 years of when I was changing and went back to study, etc. And still not really believing in myself that much in terms of, could I take anything from this? Can I make anything from this? From all this study I did for acting and performance? Can I give back in some way, whether it would be acting or be confidence or some kind of place where I could have enough information to give someone? And I am still studying, Shakespeare and various things that I personally like to do, and trying to develop that. And I think within me that feels a lot better. It is all about developing and monitoring how that's going. For your physical fitness, really, it helps for all of that, which I've covered in previous podcasts as well, because that kind of wealth of feeling that you have when you know you're worth something personally, when you're on your travels, then you really have a lot more energy and vitality. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And you'll enjoy that emotional and that psychological stability, if you like. Stability. You might not sometimes look stable. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't think that I'm stable. But never judge a book. But that's not for anyone else to think or believe, is it? You know? It might be a way of coping externally, which people might not understand, and everyone will be unique that way. But more and more important is the personal thoughts that you have, you know, alongside the fitness and all that sort of thing. But you want to nurture that habit, take care of it, you know. I mean, let's face it, you can't really accomplish anything if you're unhealthy. And that, by that, I don't mean have a six-pack and start jumping up and down. I don't mean that you have to sort of start doing 100 sit-ups and press-ups like, you know, Captain Jack, anything you do, you'll be back. That's rubbish. But you know what I mean? It's all just being. And it goes back to that thing where we're saying you don't need to leave your job. It's not all encompassing you. You're a lot more than that. Handle it until you decide, yeah, I found something better. You know, we all get bogged down with work and all the responsibilities. Everybody's responsibilities. I can't cope. And it's true. And it's okay to say that, you know. I mean, that's the thing, though. You know, we say you can't go on. Like, hang your head. But we go on. We do. And every now and then, it's just making time for yourself when it's necessary. And you can keep doing that with your own responsibilities and anything else, including your job. Just get up, savour that coffee, just for the few minutes, like I've said, and just get on, and then get on with it. Get on with it. Yes, I think I'll take a break for a coffee myself now. Before I get up and boogie. I can't stop singing, can I? In there, I think I addressed somebody before, his name, Assagioli. Roberto Assagioli. I had a podcast a little bit about him, and that sort of came up. That's just reminded me, actually, because he seemed to think, you know, that we were dominated by everything, which we identified ourselves because of the dominance of certain things that we were doing, in which case if we were really focused on our job, then, you know, we start to identify that relates to our basic values, you know, or on top of our basic values. And they all dictate the choices that we make, really. But, you know, pursuing materialism, I think, and appearance and power and all that jazz, sadly, these things prevent you from finding, you know, your self-worth. I think your self-worth is created by yourself. I mean, it's your authentic you, yeah? I think he was calling it that, the authentic you. And, you know, because we all deserve to give our best in the way in which we want to. That is what's important. That's the bottom line, you know. I mean, there is no certainty about anything that might happen to us, but we can have the adventure. We can still keep that self-worth through all of the uncertainty. Keeps coming up. The word keeps coming up. So, when you're at your work, whether you want it or not, just even while you're waiting to make the moves, when anything is getting a little bit tough and you're like recognising that, because you obviously recognised it if you want to leave, just think about your behaviours at that moment in time and decide what you can change, what belongs for you in the future, and just keep rehearsing that. It is a rehearsal, yeah. I'm not going to quote that one. Yeah, well, it's true though. Not everybody has a good day, but live it anyway, right? Be the best you can, that's all I say. Even if it's half of what you feel, just do the half bit, you know, whatever you are. You're actually everything you need anyway, and that's actually true. And that's what that Wayne Dyer, sadly lost him, but he talks of that, of a deficiency syndrome, which is basically saying, where am I? Where I am, I don't like. That has to change, It has to change from you are a will, a conscious, dynamic will, living and loving and willing yourself. The act of will. Bien fait et réserve. I don't even know what that means. Why did I say that? I have no idea. Anyway, back to the subject. Don't try too hard, You can dwell on things too much and think, it's not happening, I can't do it. Just do a little to walk and then get on with it. That's why I say about working. It's a gift to work. It helps you keep sane, and it does. If things get a little bit stressed or things aren't going right, then you sit back, put it in perspective, Don't be creating any more fear than necessary. We're not here. There's a finite thing going on. We're not here forever. Make the most of it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I've said. That's what I keep saying. Sorry, but... The other thing, I've covered that as well, is that the positive thinking thing, it's easy to throw away those lines, but on a surface level, positive thinking on a surface level is a waste of time. It is a waste of time. We're talking about really believing this. Probably that's why I keep going on and on and on, because it's trying to, implement that. Really seriously think about it and get it in your head. That mental action is so important, and it's comfortable. There's an incredible comfort that comes that way when you start to put things like that in action. Then it becomes a compulsive action. When you hear certain conversations or see situations arising that are familiar, you're right, I need to stop this, I know what this is. Commitment, almost like a reprogramming. So that's not going to be overnight, is it? But you're on it, and you're on the route. Because the minute you start on the route, you can't go any other way unless you're going to fall back and get frightened. Well, you can't get frightened. You can, but you're overthinking, Go outside and have a look around. You're all right. Nothing's happening. It's okay. So, but as I say, the positive thinking is a waste of time if it's on the surface. You need the stores, those positive stores within your mind on a regular basis. It's in your unconscious review, yeah. And that keeps it permanent for the lasting change, for the change that you want, for that belief, that absolute personal power. It's nothing to do with anyone else. No comparisons here, by the way, no. Like we keep saying. And that determines what we make true to ourselves, even if you're in the job. That Prince Harry thinks we should leave, but I think he's got that back to front. Just saying. The strange thing is, and it's just personal thought, just my own personal thought, but I think reverse. For to leave is to give up. And really, you're taking yourself to somewhere else that you might just give up. So the advice, I wasn't too happy with that. I wasn't happy with that at all. Given he's in such a position of influence. And really, it doesn't even make sense if he's been looking at the state of mental health and what we can do to fix it. Obviously in a different status, in a hierarchy thought there, or position, perhaps not thought. Well, obviously it's not thought. You'd think he would know a lot more than just to come up with that. Anyway, that's me. That's me said all I am saying tonight in this short little podcast, just to check in, so you know that I've not disappeared and I'm giving up. I'm coming back. So thanks again for listening, if you did, whoever you are. And hopefully join me next time when I come back, possibly visually. And remember, you is important to yourself. Treat yourself like you would someone you love. Bottom line. See you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.